I pressed the button. Okay, we're live. I don't know why it took so long. That's weird. And I'm getting messages on Facebook Marketplace because I'm selling my motorcycle. Well, hold on one second. I'm replying to this guy. I'm sorry to start the chat and then this guy's messaging me. So yeah, friends, Romans, and Patriots, lend me your ears and strap on your tinfoil hats because it's time for the Gay Frog Chat. Gay Frog Chat is a weekly panel discussion where we go into a different conspiracy or subject. This week, I've just got a bunch of shit that I've got to talk about. But before we get into anything, man, I'm kind of having some problems right now. Yeah, and it's not great. It's not good. My work, because of the way it is, has been really hot on the inside, and that has caused me to sweat profusely at work, which when you're sweating profusely at work and you're walking around, you get leg chafe. At least I do. I don't know what you guys do, but I've been getting leg chafe real bad. I know this is a great subject, guys. I'm sorry. And the leg chafe has led to a giant fucking cyst on the inside of my leg, right where they rub together. Ooh. That popped in the other day. So I don't know if you've ever had a cyst pop in, but basically it gives you a blood infection. So I was fighting off a blood infection from the cyst that popped into my bloodstream instead of out of my body. And since it didn't pop, it just filled right back up. And now I'm having trouble walking, and it's real fucking bad, dude. So I've been taking 3 showers a day, trying to fucking soak it. And I don't know. If I have to go to the doctor, I'm probably going to have to go to the doctor.
Sounds like you need to find a dermatologist, honestly.
No, they just need a lancet. Not a dermatologist. I could go to a fucking, $100 fucking corner emergency center. They have everything to do it there. It's just if I get it lanced, then I'm out of work for at least a week because I'm going to have an open gash on my leg and I can't walk around like that. So not only will it cost me $100 to get it lanced, but I'll be out probably, $500, $600, $700 of money from the shifts that I'm going to miss. And I don't know if I can afford that right now. So what's the other option? I don't know, dude. Just keep working, and this thing keeps getting worse. I felt like I was going to die the other day. And I still felt like shit yesterday, which is why I didn't do a chat. Because I just had a fever, and I was laying in bed, and I did not feel good, and I didn't want to get up, and I still don't feel very good, but it's fine. It is what it is. So hopefully it gets better, but still dealing with it, unfortunately. Man, how's it going with you, Mr. Patriot? I hope better than that. Jesus.
Well, I've had a very interesting day. I had an Amazon affiliate deliver something to my place, but they delivered it to the wrong address. Instead of delivering it to my unit, they delivered it to the next company. But then about 2 hours ago, I got a random phone call out of nowhere from Stark County Sheriff's Office telling me that Guernsey County Sheriff found my stolen rifle from 5 years ago.
Do they ask you if you wanted it back?
They were calling me to be like, hey, we have your stuff if you want to come get it at some point.
Because I had a High Point stolen a couple years back. And then it was something like 5 years later after I reported it stolen. I got a phone call and the guy was like, hey, do you want this thing back? Actually, I kind of didn't. I didn't really want it back because it was shitty when it was stolen and who knows what they fucking did to it.
That's what I'm kind of worried about with this gun right now, is if it's going to have its extractor still in place or not, because they could have blown it out at this point, honestly, in 5 years.
Although I kind of wish that I had gotten it back because it would have been good content.
Yeah.
Like, here's my high point that was stolen and returned by the police.
From everything that they've told me so far, it sounds like they just found it at some point today in, like, I'm guessing a drug raid or something around here would be then. And it's so fresh now that they didn't even have it in their possession yet because it's still like going through the evidence chain or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. See. Yeah. See.
I'm surprised they reached out to you before the case was closed.
Why are you so loud? Holy shit.
Oh, sorry.
It's not your fault. It's fucking StreamYard's fault because it's supposed to fucking automatically balance that shit. Here, talk again. Talk
Hello.
again. Okay, there you go. You're good now. All right, you're good now. What's going on with you, Mr. Armed?
Just finished shooting a match. Feel good about it.
Shooting a match?
Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to light things with matches.
Yeah. Steel targets.
Steel doesn't light on fire with matches.
No. Those are green tips.
I don't think the green tips would do it.
They spark.
If you work at a range, right? Or you just work at a gun shop, never mind.
Yeah.
So supposedly they don't let you use green tips at my range because there ends up being a lot of burnt powder that ends up down range. That gets swept up periodically, I'm sure, but there is the potentiality for green tips to spark and then ignite powder that is unburnt and hence like more easily burnt than regular powder and create a giant explosion within the range, the indoor range. I think that's bullshit. Like, I honestly, like, dude, you'd have to let that shit build up for like 10 years and never squeeze it.
I mean, not 10 years, but God, it's all steel core ammo.
You're still fucking really loud. Holy cow.
Sorry. It's all steel core ammo. That's
why you're turned down now.
Usually the indoor ranges will check your ammo with a magnet if you're not buying from them.
Shake your ammo.
Check
so
it.
How did you do in your match there?
I know the scores aren't posted yet, but I feel good about it. A lot of people didn't come out because it's hot.
As a
I'm gonna guess second.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done talking.
I'm gonna guess probably second, maybe third place.
Oh, that's good. Riz says, as a high-calorie individual that works maintenance, I usually get 15,000 steps a day. That's pretty good. That's about, I'd say I do about 20, 25 maybe. Gold Bond extra strength every day, Honda. Yeah, bro, but the problem is like once you get a little bump there, because it's been rubbing together, that bump sticks out, so it rubs even more, and then the bump sticks out even more, and then it rubs even more, and then it sticks out even, and then pretty soon it's like, dude, you can't do anything about it. Like, you can put Gold Bond and fucking medication and like do everything you could possibly fucking do, and you're just fucked. You're just absolutely completely fucked, and you're fucked, dude. There's nothing you could do. I haven't found anything that can fucking mitigate it. But I don't know. Like, I'm going to have to call into work tomorrow probably. If it's like it is today, I can't do it. And then if it's not better by this weekend, then I should have got it lanced because I'm going to miss the whole fucking weekend. Anyway, my indoor range said no green tips because it could deteriorate the salted plates under the rubber. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I didn't know there was salted plates. That's weird. Have you guys ever been as far even as decided to go look more? What the fuck are you talking about, Soviet Tower? Was that even a sentence? Let me read that again. Have you guys ever been as far even as decided to do look more like? Are you drinking?
This guy from India.
Oh, this is India. Dude, I don't know why. I'm going to do something real quick. And then we're going to screen share. We're going to screen share, everybody, because we got some stories to go over. Do 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 boop 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 boo whoop boop boop boo boo boo. Okay, so Denver has been building tiny home villages for homeless people. The first one was, I think, right around COVID, give or take. I don't know if it was right before, right after, or during, but it was right around that time. So 5-6 years. They're already closing them down. They're already closing these things down. Why, you might ask? Well, it turns out that the reason that people are homeless is more than they just can't afford a home. It's also because if you give them a home to live in, they will destroy it. They will burn it down to the ground. They will do drugs inside of it and have their homeless drug addict friends come over and do drugs inside of it and die inside of them. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of reasons why it's like really bad to have these private areas for homeless people to go that, you know, like you can't just go check up on them if you're the police or whatever, you know? So yeah, they're already tearing down the homeless camps that aren't camps. They're tiny. And dude, this pisses me off, dude. Because like I could live in a tiny home for free and I would take care of it and I would love it and I would pet it and I would feed it and it would be mine forever. But you give one to a homeless person and they just like shit on the walls and spread it out like fucking paint. I don't know what they do. Yeah. Pretty shitty.
Shit, Casso.
So they arrested a serial killer in Denver.
Hmm?
A black serial killer. So every time, like have you ever heard like the black people be like, oh, the white serial killer, blah, blah, blah. Only whites are serial killers. Not anymore. I'm sure there's been more than one, but they just arrested a black one. Isn't that crazy?
Anthony Sowell was one of the ones here in Ohio. He's up in Cleveland. He was specifically targeting prostitutes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of various minority backgrounds so that he wasn't caught as easily.
I don't know what this guy's been doing.
Probably the same shit, honestly.
Killing people.
Well, besides, like if it was like a specific, like he's going after prostitutes or something.
Where the white women at?
Well, it was the same thing with Green River Killer. A lot of his kills were prostitutes and streetwalkers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess Debbie Casino, woman in Panama Beach, Florida. Yeah, it seems like he's targeting women. Sorry, I was reading the article real quick. So, did you guys hear about the ICE shooting in Aurora, Colorado?
Was that the one with the you look like alien guy that got capped?
No.
The guy that had the ticket to leave in 2 days?
No. I don't know about that one. Maybe. So it was a 42-year-old employee of Geo Group, which owns the building that ICE is inside of. So he's just like a security guard. He's not even an ICE agent. And it appears that he had some sort of like a road rage incident, but except for it's with a fucking security guard. So maybe the guy shouldn't have been a security guard. And like they were antagonizing him and getting in his face and doing all this shit. And he pulled out his gun and shot a round to scare people off that hit a woman in the foot. And so now everyone in Aurora, everyone in Colorado is freaking out because ICE shot another person. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. It wasn't ICE. He wasn't, there's mitigating circumstances here that no one wants to understand. You read the headlines and it sounds like ICE shot someone, like Adams County prosecutors charge Aurora Group employee with assault and shooting of protesters in front of ICE facility. Anyway, it's pretty fucking annoying what they do. It's just another example of how the media is the enemy of the people, and they will do anything that they can to further their narrative, up to and including bald-faced lying. But usually what it is like, oh, we're telling you the truth, but it's just the way it's worded, you see, that makes it sound like it's worse than it is. And they do that all the fucking time. And most people out there never read anything but the fucking headline, and they know that. So how they craft the headline determines how people receive the story. So they craft the headline very, very particularly so that it is received by people in an inflammatory way. And then the other side of the coin is like, it's like, hey, here's like a gang of fucking African immigrants who gang raped a 12-year-old girl to death. And they'll be like, Cleveland men. It's like, are they from Cleveland? No. I mean, I guess they're men and they live in Cleveland, but you're not really describing who they are. And when it's a white dude who does it, they're like, oh, white man. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it pisses me off. It does piss me off because you're trying to craft a narrative. You're telling people what you want them to hear or what you think that they should hear, and not telling them what you think that they're not able to hear because they won't be able to handle it. And that's not your job, media. Your job is to report the fucking news. It's our job to make up our minds what we feel about it. It's not your job to tell us what we're supposed to think about it and frame it in ways that mitigate it or make it seem worse, depending on who the perpetrators are or whatever the case is, which they do, again, all the fucking time. All the fucking time. Yep. House just passed a bill to ban members of Congress and their spouses from trading individual stocks. There's also a national voter ID requirement attached to the bill. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't read that part. I just read the headline. So there's a national voter ID requirement attached to the bill. So now everyone's going to have to show an ID in order to vote somehow, at least. That's good. And also Nancy Pelosi is only going to be able to buy like the S&P 500 or whatever. You know, you can buy like Janus funds. You can buy like, I don't know, JP Morgan or something, because they're an investment group. Aren't you guys happy about that? Fuck.
Yeah, they also are attaching the SAVE Act to the National Defense Authorization re-upping of this year. That would basically force, if they want to pass the SAVE Act in the Senate right now, they have to basically pass the bullshit to allow Israel to basically take over our military.
All right.
And they'll just form some congressional investment group to get around it.
Yeah, maybe, but they got to make that shit first. And it should also be publicly available. So if there's some sort of a congressional investment group, then it stands to reason that you and I could invest in it too. So that would kind of like mitigate the whole thing. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It seems like a really good idea that's been really long overdue. That you've got these people who are in Congress who are millionaires, and I don't know if any of them are billionaires, but they've got, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars from investing when they only make a couple $100,000 a year. It's like, how is that fucking possible? Unless you're doing insider trading, which they are provably again and again, and they're protected from it because they are senators. So the idea was like, oh, like if a senator breaks a minor law, it's no big deal because they're a senator, because like, we're not going to enforce parking laws on them because they're on their way to vote and they double park somebody. They're a senator. We need them to vote. It's fine. Which I didn't really agree with in the first place. Like, there shouldn't be, if anything, if you're a senator, you should be held to a higher standard.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no law that is above you or below you. But here we are in 2026, where they've finally got around to making it so that partially they're reined in a little bit in a way, which is good, but nowhere near what it should be. I think if anything, we should go after people who've done shit like that and confiscate, like what they do to drug dealers, right? If you're a drug dealer, they come into your house and they get your drugs and they take all of your money and like your car and anything of value, because they assume that because you're a drug dealer that you bought the car or you bought the house or you bought the, surround sound system or whatever the fucking case is with your drug money. So therefore it's ill-gotten and they can do it through civil asset forfeiture. And that's that. I think we need to do civil asset forfeiture of members of Congress who've been in there for years, who have well beyond the amount of money that they should have based upon their salary. And, let them prove that it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I've been talking. Good.
On a good note on that one too, I believe it was Jim Jordan recently was talking about bringing up Maxine Waters on charges because she's been illegally voting for like the past 2 years or something with proxy votes. Up to the tune of like 1,000 different votes or something like that were like illegally cast is what they're taking, what they were saying the other day when I was reading something about it.
So I've been talking about this for a little while. If you've been following me on Twitter, which we will get to the other stories but it's in reverse order. So this is the most recent one that I've reposted. So we'll see the other ones that I have posted where I'm telling you I told you so. Propaganda before they do what they're going to do. There has been multiple stories from Denver and the metro area about either some lady who was on a bike path who got scared because there was teenagers and they were on e-bikes and they were riding on the bike path, or some teenager who ran a red light on his e-bike and got hit and he's in the hospital, or like, I don't know what this is, the picture of a bunch of fucking kids on the street being lawless with their bikes, right? But they're cracking down on dirt bikes, motorcycles that don't have plates, e-bikes, anything with without a plate on it that's on the road. There's super cracking down on right now. But what does that mean? Think about it. If you have a plate and I run and I get away, you have my plate. You show up to my house later, you write me a ticket, I get a felony eluding, blah, 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 blah. It's really bad. If I don't have a license plate, I get away, I'm scot fucking free. Like, there's no cracking down on me because you don't know who the fuck I am. I mean, maybe they could track people down with flock cameras or something. I don't know what they're planning on doing, but really the only way to get someone who's on a bike is basically to hit them with a car and then arrest them when they're fucking like on the ground in pain. So I don't know if that's what they're planning on doing when they say cracking down on dirt bikes and e-motors on roads. But if these guys run on an e-bike, on a dirt bike, I can go all kinds of places that your police vehicle is not going to be able to go. I don't even have to go that fast. I can go on sidewalks. I can go upstairs. I can go between buildings. I can go on gravel. I can go on dirt. I can go anywhere. And so the only way that you're going to catch me is if you're super fucking hyper aggressive and do some crazy ass shit to get me. You know what I mean? So again, I don't know if that's what they're planning on doing, but they've certainly been propagandizing people, getting them ready for what they're about to crack down on. Explosions reported outside 26 Federal Plaza in Lower Manhattan. You mean the communist Muslim mayor of New York is allowing Muslims to blow up stuff in Lower Manhattan? That's weird. I never would have thought that. Also, they're burning down churches. Did you guys know about this? There's been something like 4 or 5 churches that have burned down since Mamdani has become the mayor of New York City. And at least one of them that I know about has been zoned by the Muslim whatever person who's head of zoning, who was appointed by Mamdani, because they do nepotism too. You don't just fucking appoint anybody when you're the Muslim communist mayor of a city. You appoint Muslim communists to positions of power, like the guy who's in charge of zoning buildings. Yeah, where the 250-year-old church stood that got burnt down by, we didn't catch him. We don't know who did it, but I have a guess. is now being zoned for a mosque. So they turned a 250-year-old church into a mosque by burning it down. Congratulations, New York City. Oh, also, and this isn't even pulled up. I didn't even fucking retweet this. Did you see Zorhan Mamdani talking about arresting Benjamin Netanyahu?
I don't know if I saw that. The one I saw about him was talking about some bullshit courts that would like skirt the U.S. Constitution or something, like some international court or something.
Well, there's the international courts which have no jurisdiction in the United States, which have no jurisdiction in Israel, which basically have no jurisdiction anywhere. There's just like a made up fucking, like feel good court for liberals to fucking try war crimes in, but they don't have any power to enforce anything. Has basically declared that because there's a bunch of Palestinian children and stuff that have died during the conflict in Gaza, that Benjamin Netanyahu is guilty of war crimes and that he should be arrested. But again, they don't have a police force, they don't have a jail system, like they have no authority, they have no power. No one's agreed to anything, so therefore it's just talk. Except Zorhan Mamdani is like, hey, this international court called for the arrest of this person, so he's not welcome in New York, and we looked into it deeply, and we don't actually have the power as a city to do anything about it, which thank God, bro. Thank God for that we can't just elect people to mayors of cities who can then like call for the arrest of international dignitaries,
Well, that's the problem with a lot of these dumbass mayors. I think they're governors because the cities they rule over are big as some states are, honestly.
Dude, people are fucking leaving New York City as fast as they fucking can. Like anybody who has money, who has a business, who has any means to escape the city has either already gotten out for the most part or is actively trying to leave. Like they've done the rent freeze, which basically means like, hey, if you own a building and you rent out rooms to tenants in New York City, and any of your units need to be fixed up, or there's problems with the building, or anything needs to be upgraded, you can't afford it anymore because you can't raise the rent, and the rent is frozen, and you can't do anything about it. So what are they doing? They're probably selling for whatever they can get and getting the fuck out. Very smartly too. Like that's exactly what you should do in that case, is fucking sell for whatever you can get it for right now, because if you wait longer, it's going to be worth less. And get the fuck out now and go to one of the free states, and they're all going to Florida and Texas and like Tennessee and shit. But
they're still Democrats, the unfortunate situation there.
Well, New York City is about to run into a position where they're going to be billions of dollars behind on tax revenue versus what they would have had, because they forgot about game theory, right? If you change the rules and you tax people differently and you do things differently and expect everyone to just do the same thing, you're going to be wrong. Like you increase the taxes, people are going to adjust what they do to pay less taxes. If it's only in a localized area and you increase the taxes, you're going to get the fuck out of that localized area and go to a place with lower taxes. And that's what people have been doing. People with money, people with billions of dollars have been leaving New York City as fast as they fucking can. And now they don't have the tax revenue to do all the things that he promised, like the free buses and the free trains and all the other shit. So hopefully, go ahead.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that the entirety of New York State now that relies on a lot of those taxes too from New York City is getting fucked over. And so now you have the state of New York that's basically going to go into default pretty soon because of stuff.
Which ultimately, who pays for that? We do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest of the country is not going to let the biggest city and one of the biggest states in the nation just go under because they can't fucking get their fiscal shit together.
Well, I mean, they might actually, given the fact that you had Trump recently freeze, I forget which federal funds it was for New York State and then California because of potential voter fraud.
Well, Trump needs to goddamn do fucking something about the economy, because right now there's 105 million Americans who are of working age So that's before the age of retirement and over the age of 18, or I guess 18 and older, who don't have jobs. 105 million people. That is more people without jobs, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, than at any other point in the history of the United States. Maybe there was more during the COVID shutdown for 9 months when everyone was like paid to be at home or whatever. I'm not sure. But 105 million people in this country are currently without a job. So shit is fucked, bro. Shit is really fucked. Fuck happiness, stay angry, says Crafty Piping. Oh, lawfully armed had to leave. All right. And here's the problem under Biden. You want to see the 15-second problem under Biden? The 4-year 15-second problem?
Jesus.
And they spread out 14.7 million people across the country like that so that no one area would be that affected. Remember all the bills that the Democrats were trying to pass under Biden about border security? And none of them were actually securing the border. They were just giving more money to Border Patrol to process people quicker and more for buses and stuff to like send them out quicker so that they could bring in more people faster without people knowing. This was always the plan. This was always what they wanted to do. They wanted to flood the country with as many people as they could. And once they're here, it's like really hard to get rid of them. You know, it's like super easy to just like skip the paperwork and do some bullshit and let you in. But now to get you out, we got to like go through the court system and get fucking removal orders and like round you up physically and send you out. It costs a lot of money to get rid of people once they're here. And they knew that. And so I think the long-term plan, of course, is to give these people citizenship. And then who do you think that 14.7 million people and their children are going to vote for? Probably the people who give them citizenship. So it's going to be the Democrat Party forever that has power. And they knew that. They knew that they were replacing, because they knew that a lot of the traditional liberal ideas that Democrats have been elected for, that protect the American workers and, you know, do all the things that traditional liberals, 90s liberals would do. They have backstabbed all of those ideals. They no longer believe in them. They no longer care about them. They no longer want anything to do with them because they could just bring in foreign nationals. And this doesn't even include the people that came in legally, of which there's about 3 million a year. So add another fucking 12 million people to that number. So what are we at? 26, 27 million people who came in under Biden, either legally or illegally.
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely fucking appalling. It's ridiculous. There are now, if you are a child in the United States, there are more non-white children being born in the United States than white children. I mean, just think about that for a second, dude. Like that's the first time in history. I mean, I guess since, you know, we've been a nation anyway, that's been true. 4.3 million of them from Mexico, 1.5 from Guatemala, 1.4 from Honduras, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we are no longer a sovereign country. They just want everyone to be some level of beige in the future. They want no borders. They want no country to have any kind of power. They want everyone to be poor and everyone to be just barely surviving so that they can basically charge whatever they want for labor. And you're going to do it because you don't have a choice, because there's 105 million working age Americans who aren't working right now. What do you think that does to the job market? What do you think that does to your labor cost? When you go to your boss and you're like, hey, I work really hard and I do my job and I know what I'm doing and I want to raise. They say, fuck you, here's a pay cut. Okay, I quit. Good luck finding a job. Now you're part of the 105 million and growing. And Trump seems to not even fucking care about this or not know what's going on. There's no plan that I've seen to do anything about the economy. As far as he's concerned, it's the strongest economy that we've ever fucking had, which I find to be absolutely ridiculous from a point of view of someone trying to sell something. You know, if the economy was good and you're selling a motorcycle, you know how fast it sells? Lickety fucking split, because there's plenty of people with disposable income who want the thing that you're selling. You know, if you want a new job and the economy's good, you know how fast you find one? Lickety fucking split, because there's 100 employers who are looking for anyone that they can to fill these jobs that they have because they don't have enough people. Neither one of those is true. Neither one of them is true by far. And it seems like the political elites on both sides are somewhat insulated from those facts. They're definitely not directly affected by them the way that like a steel worker, like a fucking electrician or something would be, you know?
Mhm.
You've got like electricians from Honduras coming in working for pennies on the dollar for what you would do. Well, now you're never going to get a raise. Now you're never going to be able to afford a house. Now you're never going to be able to get ahead. Now your kids are always going to be fucking living poor and like eating steak. Have you seen what the price of a fucking pound of ground beef is at the store right now? We're not even talking
it's
the good
quite a
shit.
lot.
We're talking like 80-20 is like fucking $7 or $8 for a fucking pound of ground beef. It's insane what the fucking grocery store is like, which only exacerbates the problem of people who don't have enough money anyway, because now they go to the grocery store and they spend all their fucking extra money. Like what would have been extra money is spent at the grocery store to buy the things that they would normally buy. I went there today. I spent $50 on fucking basically nothing. We made fajitas. It was like $50 fucking dollars for fajitas and milk and eggs. So we got fucking breakfast tomorrow. It's insane, dude. It's fucking insane. Yeah, bought 10 pounds of 80-20 for $50. Still, it's $5 a pound when you buy 10 pounds. Shit's fucking crazy. I remember during COVID, at the onset of COVID, when I lost my job and I was trying to stretch out my money as long as I could, I made a lot of like hamburger helper and that kind of thing to feed the kids and feed myself, which meant buying a pound of hamburger meat at the grocery store across the street. And it was often on sale for $2. If not, it was $2.50. So it went from $2.50 to $7.50. And they're trying to say, oh, yeah, inflation's at 2%, 3%. Like, fuck you, it is. Fuck you, it's not, is what it is, dude. And it's fucking bullshit that all of these political pundits, like Tim Pool, who are like surprised by this. It's like, dude, this has been going on. This has been building to a crescendo. The people who even have jobs, most of them are at fucking breaking point. A lot of them are at breaking point. They can't fucking afford the shit that they would normally be able to afford. They can't go on vacation. They certainly don't have money for like luxuries or vacations or, you know, anything like that. So what's happening to the vacation spots? Oh, well, they're really hurting. Look at fucking Las Vegas. Las Vegas is about to fucking die because they're bringing in like 25% of the foot traffic that they would normally bring in.
Well, they're also screwing people on every chance they get there because they've increased the prices of everything by like 20 times what they should be.
Well, that's why, though, because they're used to having 4 times the foot traffic. So if you have that volume of people coming in and spending a little bit of money, then, it, you know, everyone spends a little bit. It's fine. You have no one coming in. You need to make up that income somehow to just to keep the fucking doors open, you know? And if you don't, the doors are going to be closed and everyone's going to lose their job and it's going to be even worse. So it's like rocking a fucking hard place and no one wants to admit how bad it is. I honestly think that, and I've said this for a long time, that mathematically, that statistically, that logically, the United States economy at some point is going to collapse. It has to. It has to. It has to. It has to. There's no other fucking option. It is going to fucking happen. It has always been the plan. It has always been the fucking plan. And I've always said that when it happens, it will be at a time of their choosing so that they can blame what they want for it instead of themselves, even though they are at fault. And who are they? The banksters, the fucking politicians, the big business people who've been in charge of the economy this entire time. It's the boomers who've been pushing down the fucking ball down the road so that they don't have to pay the piper. It's the, you know, the people who own homes who stop other people from building homes so that their home prices can stay big. You know, it's all of these things. And it's, again, it's coming to a crescendo. And at a time of their choosing, they are going to implode the economy. And it will, I believe, be under Trump that it happens. Now, is that Trump's fault? maybe a part of it is enough of it to where he's going to catch the whole fucking blame. He's going to catch the whole fucking blame. And then they're going to look back and they're going to say, oh, you stupid fucking Republicans, see what you voted for. You voted for this, and this is what you got. You deserve it. And, you know, you're stupid for ever doing it. And, you know, all the things that they're going to say. They're going to have every excuse to blame it on him. And that's what they're going to do after they're the ones who set up the fucking board to fucking crash in the first place. And they knew it was going to happen because anyone with a brain and a calculator could figure out that the economy you can't fucking grow like we're growing. You can't bring in people that we're bringing in and just subsidize their whole fucking life. You know, bringing in people from third world countries who haven't worked for 10 years just so that we can have them in the economy to spend money. Bro, it'd be better to just like not spend that money on them. Like, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, Terry says, this is fucking Terry. This guy's a fucking retard, just so you guys know. Terry is the dumbest fucking piece of shit in the history of dumb fucks. He shows up to my chats and he says things. He usually comments after the fact. He's not usually in here, so it's kind of surprising to see him live. And he says, nah, the economy will just muddle along. Not great, not terrible. What are you basing that on? You're just being contrarian, number one. Number two, you're not dealing with anything that I just said. You're just saying something. And again, I honestly think that you guys agree with Terry. You need to relax, queer bag. Fine. We'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. I got 2.5 years. I don't even think it'll take that long. I think in about 6 months or a year, next summer, it's going to collapse. That is my prediction. And I've been right about fucking huge predictions before. Not about all of them. Sometimes I make predictions and I'm wrong. And I might be wrong about this one. I hope I'm wrong about this one, to be fair. But yeah. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
So the one thing I have seen.
Uh-oh. You just muted yourself. All right. I guess it's the Honda show now. Crafty Piping says, nobody's right.
Sorry, my shit came unplugged. What I was saying was, the one thing I saw with Trump recently is him mentioning about green card holders and basically forcing them to pay their own way and not being able to get assistance ever again, which that's talk right now. But then you also have him in the last day or so now coming out and talking about possibly allowing Saudi Arabia to become a nuclear power. And it's like, why the fuck would you let any Islamic country become a nuclear power, man? So, who knows?
Well, better Saudi Arabia than Iran, but I agree with you. No fucking Muslims need a nuke. There's no Muslim country that needs a nuke. Period. Justin, dead body found in home owned by Congresswoman Ayanna Presley's husband in Boston. So they found a dead body inside of their house. Okay. We need an investigation about that. This bald bitch needs to fucking answer for her husband's dead body in his house. And why is it his house when they're married?
Because she can't have those things in her name, because it would make sense to actually investigate her for insider trading then.
It's supposed to be Homer, not Homeboy.
I saw like a 30-second mesh up of all that shit the other day, and it was so bad.
Well, we're the only country in the world that does this, where we make movies that like have all of these race swaps about like Greek history. Like there weren't any black people in ancient Greece. There weren't any like Hispanic looking people or whatever in ancient Greece. They were Greeks. And yet we do it here because, you know, white people are the only ones that have out-group preference. And not only that, but if you put like an Indian guy in the Odyssey, right? Well, there's a whole bunch of people in India who are going to watch the Odyssey because there's an Indian guy in it. Or if you put a black guy in the Odyssey, there's going to be a whole bunch of black people that watch the Odyssey because there's a black guy in it. Or if you put a Chinese guy in the Odyssey, well, then a whole bunch of Chinese people are going to watch the Odyssey because there's a Chinese person in it. We're the only group that's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. And some of us do. I don't really care. I'm just not going to watch the fucking piece of shit. Someone was telling me it was really good. And I believed them without looking into it. And I was going to watch it.
It's not.
And then I like saw what it actually was. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
From everything I've heard about the movie, it's basically Christopher Nolan did zero fucking research into the actual history behind it. And it's basically just a bunch of nonsense bullshit of people being thrown into a fucking in front of a camera basically and have the camera turned on.
Elon Musk said he's going to make a historically accurate version of the Odyssey using Grok by the end of the year. I will watch that when it comes out. So this goes back to the earlier story. This is them setting the table. Video shows 100 e-bikers and e-motor riders on Broadway. Oh no, everyone, you should see the video of the e-bike riders on Broadway that are breaking the law and they're getting away with it. Hey, boomers, all boomers, you should see this. And then they're going to be like, hey, we're going to pass this law. And all the boomers are going to be like, well, I did read in the paper that there was 100 e-bike riders on Broadway. And then they're going to fucking vote for the law and they're all going to do it. And then people are going to lose rights, dude. I'm sick of these fucking laws. Like, leave people alone. I don't care if there's kids riding bikes on the road. Eat a fucking dick. Like, if there's someone who like damages property or gets in an accident or whatever, hold that person accountable. 100%. But shut the fuck up, man. Just leave kids alone. Let the kids be. Let them be kids. Reports China crude imports are down 44% during the Iran war. They did not cut their imports. Their imports were cut. China may very well be the real target of the U.S. war against Iran. I agree. I don't think that that's the only reason we went to a war with Iran. I think that they did have nukes, but I think as a secondary, like, beneficial side effect of the war with Iran being that people who get their oil from Iran are not able to get their oil from Iran. And one of the major fucking importers of Iranian oil is China. And we're not, by the way. We're a net exporter of oil right now. We produce more oil than we use. So it affects the price of oil for oil producers in a positive way here. Not necessarily for us who have to buy it because we're competing with international prices for the oil that they're producing. So it makes our oil cost more at home. However, we don't import any. We produce everything we need. China does not have enough oil. They're not able to produce the oil that they use. They import a whole 4%. What do you think that's doing to the Chinese economy right now? Speaking of our economy being bad, how bad do you think things are in China right now when almost 50% of the oil that they need is not coming into the country?
I mean, it's definitely going to be terrible for them. And I mean, it has been bad for them for years now. I remember years ago, this was, I think, during lockdown stuff, maybe just after, they were telling everybody in that country that owned any kind of like square footage outside of their homes to basically plant outside gardens and stuff because they were going to starve to death otherwise.
Oh, here's another e-bike. Police investigate crash with which seriously injured e-motorcyclist rider in Denver metro area. And there's story after story after story about this because, again, they want to set the table. They want to propagandize people into believing this is a huge fucking problem when it's not. Like, yeah, things happen. Yeah, there was probably a group ride on Broadway where a bunch of kids were doing stuff. That happens with motorcycles all the time. That happens with like street cars. Like there's these like sports car enthusiasts who work on their cars and mod their cars and have like Subarus and stuff that they fucking soup up. And then they get together at a parking lot somewhere in Denver, and then they like all leave at the same time and drive down a road together, and some of them are racing and they're doing stupid shit, you know? And yeah, like if you're doing stupid shit and you crash, or like you're speeding real bad and a cop sees you, you should get pulled over, you should get arrested. Should we write specific laws to go after these people? Should we crack down on them and like and hit them off of their bikes and do what we can to fucking bust them? That's a different story. Let the kids be kids. Jack Posobiec says they are terrified about 2020. What has come out about the so Trump did that press conference like a week ago wherein they were talking about all of the evidence for the 2020 election being stolen. As far as I understand, I haven't seen very much specific direct evidence that like this happened or that happened. It's more like ambiguity or circumstantial or not proven type things that have been brought forward. So there needs to be some actual meat on the bone. There needs to be something for us to hear. There needs to be something for us to talk about. There needs to be some facts. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of bullshit. And I hope it's not just a bunch of bullshit. I hope it's not another Kraken or another, you know what I mean? Because that happened and it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing, especially when you support the president and you get behind what he says. And he says like, hey, there's evidence. We have the evidence now. We're bringing it forward. There's all of this fraud. All right, let's fucking see it, dude. Let's fucking see it because I haven't really seen it. This is what I have seen. China compromised the voter rolls in 18 states. What does that mean? They compromised the voter rolls. That means that they knew the names that were on the voter rolls of 18 states. Does that mean that they cheated? Does that mean that they had the ability to change the votes? Does that mean anything other than they hacked fucking New York State's fucking voter rolls and they knew the social security numbers and names and addresses of people? Again, I don't know. There needs to be stuff that comes out. But has anyone been arrested? Has anyone been charged with a crime? Has anyone been implicated in a crime? As far as I understand, not yet. So as far as I understand, it's just another bunch of bullshit, dude. We need to fucking arrest people if there's people who broke the law. And if you don't have evidence that people broke the law, then why are we talking about it?
This is what I've been saying for years. We need to have mandatory election audits at this point. You had the cheating cunt in New Jersey who stole the governorship there last year admit that there was over 6,600 people on their voter rolls illegally. And I guarantee at least some of those people voted for her in 2025.
Crafty Piping, are you in the Discord? I don't see you. Okay. Invite, copy. Oh, that's not what I meant to copy. God damn it. Okay, there we go. So there's a link to the Discord. Join the link. When you come in, I will send you a message with a link to the chat. Then you can come on. That's fine. But if you're a dick or you're trying to fucking troll or whatever, then you're not going to be here for very long. And that's fine too. Just so you know. In May 2026, President Trump created the Government Transparency Task Force with the White House Executive Office of the President for the purpose of advising him through the Council on the President on documents that should be declassified and released to the public to further his administration's priority of transparency and accountability. Today, the U.S. Government Transparency Task Force announced the first disclosure of U.S. intelligence community records that were declassified last week under the direction of the president. The declassified intelligence reveals voter registration rolls from at least 18 states have been compromised by the People's Republic of China. Additionally, intelligence records reveal that more than 200 million voter records were also compromised by the PRC without state-specific affiliations. President Trump is alerting congressional and state government leadership officials to election infrastructure vulnerabilities in states identified by name in the declassified intelligence records. Again, that helps us with future elections potentially. That doesn't do shit about 2020. That doesn't hold anyone accountable if there was cheating in 2020. That doesn't fucking prove that anyone did anything in 2020. So if you're going to talk about 2020, you need to fucking, again, you need to explain what the fuck you're talking about and maybe start charging people with crimes. They did, however, prove that China paid media to instigate the BLM riots, which that's not nothing. If you tried to join, I didn't see you.
I think what a lot of people fail to recall with how many buildings were burned down in all these major cities in 2020 is that you actually had, yes, they were quote unquote chain businesses, but they were still had to be bought into by people. So they were technically mom and pop shops that were buying those McDonald's franchises and Wendy's franchises and everything else like that got torched. And so you basically just took away people's livelihoods when you arson their entire place, so they could never even come back from that.
Didn't Leo work at a Dollar Tree? Or no. What it was, he works at a Dollar Tree and he was going to work at a different Dollar Tree and get more hours at it. And before he could start at the new Dollar Tree, they burnt it down. And that was during these riots. During that time period, anyway. Where is Leo? I haven't seen his ass for a minute.
Probably working nights.
And here are the Chinese influenced media that have been paid. We got CNN, New York Times, 21st Century Fox, NBC News, CBS News, NPR. Look how many of them are Jews, too. That's crazy. I don't usually care about that, but when they're all members of the media like this, and they're all lying to us, and they all know that they're fucking lying, that's kind of fishy. Again, I'm not down with blaming the Jewish people at large in general for large things that many of them had nothing to do with. However, show me the individual Jewish person who broke the law, and I will be 100% for accountability. Q and Malone. Mark Malone.
Yeah, good old Mark.
Yep, I don't see crafty piping. I give up. I don't know what to do, man. So here's Jason Crow. This is right after all of that Trump information about the 2020 election came out, which makes me think maybe there is something there. Because when people like Crow, who is one of the known liars, he's like one of the people who lies the hardest in front of everybody, comes out and lies as hard as he's lying in this video. And you can see it in his face that he knows it. You can see in his eyes that his soul is leaving him while he's saying what he's saying.
Wasn't this the same faggot who tried to use the Highlands Ranch shooting to push gun control and got booed out of the building?
Yep. And he was also the same guy who was on the floor on top of Nancy Pelosi during January 6th, even though he's a Marine, ex-Marine. I guess you're never an ex-Marine, although this guy probably is. Anyway, let's see what he has to say.
I want to be very clear to Americans and to Coloradans right now. President Donald Trump continues to lie, distort the truth, to try to sow doubt and suppress the 2026 election. He doesn't want Americans to vote. He doesn't want their voice to be heard. He wants people to stay home because he knows that if people stand up, organize, exercise their right to vote, that they're going to repudiate his failed policies and the corruption of this administration. That's what this is about. He has years of history of election denialism, of telling lies, of making things up. And what you've just heard is a continuation of that. I'm a member of the Intelligence Committee. I'm a member of the Armed Services Committee. I'm a proud national security Democrat. I've spent my life in defense of this country, in defense of this nation.
Can you imagine this guy leading you into battle? He's like, all right, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to... Hey, can we get a different leader?
In defense of our Constitution and our values. I take threats against America and
He's definitely seen one up close.
Americans extremely seriously. It's our most sacred and important obligation. But I can tell you.
Oh, and Pipe Guy, I sent you a friend request and a StreamYard link. So you have to accept the friend request in order to receive messages. And then once you do, there's a link to StreamYard that you just click on and it will bring you here.
That what you're hearing from the president or from this administration is not true. They're making things up. I will shoot straight with all of you. I'll tell you what's happening and what is not. But the lies and the misinformation and the disinformation, the distortions coming from the president, from this White House, they're cherry-picked intelligence, their select releases of information are designed to do one thing and one thing only. Create this notion that elections were stolen, that there was interference that didn't actually happen. And we will do everything possible to get the truth out and to put out good information. So I will today, in this day, going forward, between now and the election and after the election, be talking with all of you about what's happening, what's not, and giving you the information that you need to protect your family and to exercise your right to vote.
See, the thing about that is, Mr. Jason Crow, is you've already proven yourself to be a disingenuous actor who cannot be trusted. If you are telling someone that this is the truth, I highly doubt in any case that it is. What's up, Crafty? How you doing? Well, now you got it. Now you got to enable your mic or whatever. Anyway.
Hello.
Oh, hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing, man. You wanted to join, and here you are.
Exactly.
That is how we do things on this chat. Everyone gets one invite. And if you're cool, you continue to get invites. If not, you only got the one invite. So be cool. Anyway, what's your story? How are you doing today? What's going on with you?
Doing good. From Ohio. Watched you guys for years and just figured once I'd try to get on the chat.
Right on. Have you been the same name for years watching and commenting? Because I don't think maybe I've seen your name before. I don't remember it though.
I've changed it a few times. I don't know.
What were you before? Is there a name that I would know?
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, Ohio. You guys are this is an Ohio chat tonight, apparently.
Damn right it is.
So, do you guys know who Ben Shapiro is? You familiar
Yes.
with this douchebag?
Yeah.
So he went on Tim Pool and he was basically arguing that Trump is guilty of 31 felonies or whatever, but like can't explain why he's not guilty of them or why people would say that or know anything about it. All he knows is the talking point, and he keeps bringing it up like a sycophantic idiot when Tim is like, dude, Tim fucking sticks it to. Can we watch this? Let's watch it. I don't want to watch the whole 5
jury
minutes.
did not find Donald Trump guilty. Correct, yes. What was he charged with? Wait, you just said a jury did not find him guilty. Indeed, that's correct. Where are you getting that from? Because Trump was never actually charged with any real crimes. It is indeed a fact. The jury found him guilty. Of what? You're wrong. Of what? Okay. Of what? You say 34 count felon. Of what? Okay. Well, did he not? I'm answering it. I'm answering it. Did he not make up and falsify business records? He did not. He did not. That wasn't the case. Did you watch? Did you check? I did. So who actually? So he didn't break the law. Who was accused of it? He didn't break the law. Donald Trump was accused of misdemeanor falsification of business records by instructing a lower staffer. We don't know he actually instructed. All because of Cohen making a claim about paying Stormy Daniels. This cannot be upgraded to a felony because it's what's called requiring an underlying crime, which never in the history of the United States has been done before. Donald Trump, in this charge, was convicted falsely. So the judge got it wrong. Indeed. Got it wrong.
So he just interrupts in the middle and he can't fucking listen to the whole point. And even if he did, he wouldn't fucking understand it. Because when you're arguing with liberals about stuff, all of a sudden English is like their third language and they don't understand English anymore. And this happens all the fucking time. So you have to like talk to them like a 2-year-old in order to like get your point across, and they interrupt you in the middle of it. It's a tactic. They don't have fucking arguments, so that they have tactics. That's what they do. If they had an argument, they would make the arguments. They don't have the argument, so they pound the table. And that's exactly what Ben Shapiro does kind of a shitty job of, honestly, which is why he's so easy to fucking nail down on these things, because he's actually kind of an idiot. But whatever, let's continue to listen.
Wrong. Absolutely. You got it right. What was the underlying crime? The problem I have... Answer the fucking question. What was the underlying crime? 34 counts. Of what? Okay. Falsifying business records. Underlying crime. Name it. I don't have it right in front of me. There isn't one. Okay, but so you're saying that the judge got it wrong, the jury got it wrong, he had the right to defend himself. For the love of all that is holy, this is the problem with this country. They all got it wrong. What is the underlying crime? He was convicted in a court of law, Tim. What? Oh my God. He was not found guilty in a court of law. That's the only point I was making. Of a criminal action for which falsification was an aggravated factor. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. It is one of the most controversial cases in U.S. history, where for the first time, an aggravated charge was placed without the government proving an underlying case.
All right, so I'm going to break down exactly what's going on here for you guys. So the next time you get into a fight with that liberal family member or that liberal...
No, we don't need to hear her, because we already know. We already know that the judge had it out for Trump in this case, and specifically said before that she was going to get him, right? And then got him in court in front of her and twisted the law and twisted the jury instructions and twisted the conviction into a felony when it wasn't a felony, because there was no underlying crime, at least not that was proven in court. They gave the juries a selection of different crimes that they could apply. If they thought he was guilty of any of those crimes, they just marked that box. It didn't even have to be proven. Like, that's not the way things work in this country. And yet, that's what they did in New York. And people like Ben Shapiro repeat it. And people who were out there on the internet hear Ben Shapiro talking about this. And they think that they know what they're talking about, because Ben Shapiro, when he's on his show and he doesn't have anyone challenging him, says these things with such gusto and with such, confidence that it seems like he knows what he's talking about, so they believe him. And then the second you challenge his ideas, or any liberal's ideas, they fall apart every fucking time. It's not hard to do, which is why they get so angry, why they get so violent. That's why they shot Charlie Kirk, because he was a guy who could just destroy every single argument that they had. And there was nothing they could do about it, because he was so good at it. So what do you do about that? You shoot him in the fucking neck, and then you celebrate it on TMZ. You celebrate it on Facebook. You celebrate it on Blue Sky. You go to Charlie Kirk memorial services and crash them. You make bobbleheads with fucking blood coming out of their neck. You make fucking jokes. You show up to my work and make jokes about it and laugh, and then see me coming around the corner and get all quiet and then snicker. I'm still fucking pissed about this. Anyway, thoughts?
I mean, these are the same people, though, that think Alex Jones was guilty of everything, and he was found guilty before the court trial even started.
That's true. A lot of people think that Alex Jones did the Sandy Hook shooting, that he was the shooter at Sandy Hook. Let alone that there was a pre-done default judgment. Do you know why there was a pre-done default judgment, by the way? You know the story behind that?
I just thought it was a liberal judge.
Well, yeah, liberal judge, but here's the excuse that the liberal judge gave. liberal judge wanted the YouTube, Google Analytics, and money that he made from Google, right? But the thing was, he was already kicked off of YouTube at that time, which means you don't have access to your analytics. So he gave them all of the information that they had, all of the financial disclosure information that they could come up with, every piece of paper that they had, right? And the judge said, well, you didn't give us the Google Analytics. And they were like, we don't have the Google Analytics. They're like, all right, gavel. You didn't give us the Google Analytics. That means you're in default. You are in contempt of court, and there is a default judgment again. You know what a default judgment's supposed to be for? Like, you're suing me, and you show up to court with a bunch of paperwork about why you're suing me. And then I don't show up to court at all. The court date comes and goes. There is no response whatsoever from me, because either I didn't know there was court, or I just didn't want to show up, or whatever the case is. So I don't make any kind of case. So therefore, there's only one party that made a case in any direction. So therefore, the court has to make a default judgment because they don't have an adversarial party. If there's an adversarial party and there's some piece of information that is not provided, they can be sanctioned. You can be put in. You can have contempt of court for that, sure. But that's not traditionally what a default judgment is for. And yet, in this case, that's exactly what the judge did. And I think it's a direct and provable overstep of the judicial powers. And it's ridiculous that it was allowed to stand in court. I don't know what's going on with appeals or whatever when it comes to the Alex Jones case. I know he hasn't paid anything. I know that like they took his company or whatever, but he hasn't paid anything. So, and as far as I'm concerned, he's still just making videos, which is really, I think, what they wanted to do was take his company and take him off the air. But they didn't realize, like, it's fucking Alex Jones. It's not about his company. Wherever he is making videos, people are going to go to watch. So there's that.
I mean, the thing is, so like going back to like the video though, wasn't like Trump was not found guilty of anything other than they basically charged him with it, and then that was like it. And then they ran with that story.
Well, it was 31 counts of a misdemeanor, which was outside of the statute of limitations, which they upgraded to a felony because they said that there was an underlying crime that lets them, like, the paperwork misdemeanor is just a misdemeanor unless you're doing the misdemeanor to hide a felony or to hide like a bigger crime. So there has to be some underlying crime that you were using the paperwork misdemeanor to cover up, and then that upgrades the misdemeanor cover up to a felony. But they never proved a larger crime. They never even insinuated one. They gave the jury instructions like 4 or 5 different crimes that they could choose from without proving any of them, and just said, hey, if you think that he might be guilty of this, then you can use this one or that one or this one or that one, which has never been done before in the history of the judicial system in any case.
Now, this is all out of New York, right?
Yeah, and this is out of New York.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
And again, the judge had previously said that she was specifically going to try to go after Trump. So she already had like a known bias against the defendant, which in a normal case, you could make a motion to get a change of venue because the judge in the case has shown a bias against you. And they should just grant that, because even the appearance of a bias would somewhat taint the public's view of the legitimacy of the court. And that would be beyond reproach in normal cases, and they would just recuse themselves and let someone else take it. But they didn't do that.
Well, if they were a good judge, they would do that.
Right. Well, it's what they're supposed to do anyway. Here we go. 2025, Jack Smith swore under oath that he didn't spy on text messages belonging to members of Congress. Today, new evidence confirms he spied on dozens of members of Congress, in Rand Paul included. This is a blatant abuse of power and exactly what our founders warned us about. Not to mention, wasn't the whole Jack Smith inquiry or whatever it was, probe, not constitutional because they were supposed to have like members from both parties appoint people to the probe and it was only Democrats that appointed, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I'm kind of fuzzy.
I thought it never went through like a committee like to approve any of it. I thought it was just straight up like they just did it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was something fishy about the way it was set up, and
It was
certainly the
supposed
way
to
it was
be-
run.
It was supposed to be an unbiased committee of both parties. There was 2 rhinos that joined, and the rest of them were all Democrats, and it was just a bullshit, literal witch hunt.
Yeah. Agreed. Oh man. With regard to Judeo-Christian, the 10 Commandments were Jewish. The great stories of the Old Testament were Jewish. The Jews developed the idea of subsidiary as a alternate to tyranny and slavery. The Jews established cultural preconditions for the rise of universal literacy. The fate of Israel at the hands of the Islamists is the fate of the West. And I agree with this. This rising tide of anti-Semitism in this country and around the world sickens me. Those of you engaging in it for your so moral reasons are despicable. And remember, you're proud Christians objecting to all of the purity in all your purity to the team. Christ himself was a Jew. I am getting sick of all the anti-Semitism. And I say that even though I just said like all the Jews in the fucking media. And again, what was my point there? To hold those people accountable. Like those people are known liars. They've been peddling disinformation and misinformation and misleading people and doing all the things. And I don't care if they're Jewish or Christian or Muslim or black or white or Asian or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I care that they're members of the media who are supposed to be the ones to inform the American people so that they can make decisions about what's going on in the world. And they're not doing that. So regardless of whether they're Jewish or not, I was just making the observation that it's kind of crazy how many of them are Jewish, but stand that aside. That does not implicate the Jewish people at large. That does not implicate the state of Israel. And I, for one, support Israel. And I, for one, support Judaism as a religion as far as their right to exist and to practice their religion. We in our country are founded on Judeo-Christian morals and values, not Muslim, not Buddhist, not atheist,
Not Hindu.
Judeo-Christian. Sorry, go ahead.
I said not Hindu.
Yeah, not Hindu, not any of that shit. And we brought so many people into this country in the past fucking, not only 4 years under Biden, but since 1961 or whatever it was that we changed the fucking way that we brought people into this country.
65.
Whatever it was. Yeah. And it's been like 1 to 3 million people per year since then. Like we've completely changed the demographics of the United States. We brought in people so rapidly under Biden that there's no assimilation going on. There's entire communities of people that are not learning English and they're living on welfare and they're never going to get off of it because they don't want to work. And certainly they don't have the skills or the ability to work in our economy, in our society without learning English. I mean, I guess you can go to California and get a fucking CDL and just drive a truck and then run over a fucking family or whatever. But
Well, somebody proved me wrong here, but like under the Biden administration, dude, they didn't change anything about legal immigration. They just allowed a bunch of people to come across the border illegally and not pursue any kind of deportation or any criminal charges for that.
correct.
So, right. So with that, at that point, there's no assimilation where I mean, this could just be my opinion, which it probably is, but like most people who come here legally want to become part of like the American, experiment, right? We want to assimilate and become Americans, where like the people who are coming here illegally are just coming here for the free benefits and everything else that we are allowing. And I think a lot of it though is, this is just my 2 cents, is that I'm not saying the Trump administration shouldn't be going after the people who are illegally crossing the border, but what about these employers who are hiring these illegal immigrants? Like that, I work in an industrial application up here in Northeast Ohio, and it's just like I've been places where the majority of the people that work there don't speak any English, and I literally was talking to another contractor over there, and he literally told me that he was talking to one of these guys because he's from El Salvador. He came here, he's got all of his paperwork, he assimilated, he's U.S. citizen, but like he's talked to people over here, and they said that under the Biden administration, they literally gave them these jobs at these food processing plants that I've worked at. And it's crazy to me because it's like, okay, well, the Trump administration is going after the actual illegal immigrants, but there's nothing being done against these actual employers who have hired these people.
That's what I've been saying that we should do instead of using ICE to go after individual people and hunt them down. Like specifically, they should be going after like criminal aliens, like murderers and rapists, and et cetera, et cetera. But we should be going after the employers. We should be going after the, apartment complex renters and the, when you go in to get a driver's license and you want a CDL, like that should all be against the law. And we should make it more expensive for employers to employ illegal aliens than it is to employ Americans, specifically so that they no longer hire them because there's a cost benefit analysis. And that's what they're doing, right? They're saying like, okay, we could hire American people, and it's going to cost us like X amount of dollars, right? Or we can hire people from Honduras who are here illegally, and we can pay them like 40 cents on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar, whatever it is. So we're saving on labor 50% by hiring these people. Of course, they're going to make that decision. Like any businessman who is trying to make money and is worried about margins is going to make that decision. Any greedy businessman. Yeah, any greedy businessman who wants to make more money is going to make that decision 100%. But if we make it so that hiring an illegal alien is going to cost you like $3 on the dollar over hiring an American, because when we bust you for it, we're going to fine you, $2 on the dollar that you would have paid an American, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. We're going to make it so expensive for you that your cost benefit analysis now says, shit, we better just hire Americans and make goddamn sure of it. I mean, that's what Clinton did. That's what the traditional liberal Democrat party from the 1990s got put into power to do. And I remember, I forget what the program was called, but it was in that same period, like 1998. People at my work who were from, they had to go through some like VIN verification kind of thing for their paperwork so that they could work there. And I don't know how they passed, because I know some of them were still illegal, but they still had to they had to fucking pay for the paperwork or do something, like more than they're doing now, because they're just hiring people. It's crazy.
I just don't understand it, like in the sense that, like, at least from, like I said, like this is talking to other contractors that were at this facility. These employees that were working here were given these jobs, were basically shipped up here from the border by the last administration, given the jobs. It's like, I would think that somewhere there's records. Somebody's got to have a record that, hey, this person, whether they have an actual legitimate name or not or whatever, but we shipped this number of people up here and literally gave them this job. So there had to be some kind of a government program. This might be my conspiracy theory. There had to be a government program that these employers were signing on for to get these cheap labor workers.
Well, I mean, when you look at that map that we were looking at earlier, which was here, let me find it real quick. This is under Biden, people coming into the country, and they spread them across the United States like peanut butter, like a nice smear of cream cheese on your bagel. That way, no one area was like overwhelmed, or maybe a couple areas, but it seems like they tried to put them across the country in a way that it mitigated the problem for any particular area. And now all these people are here, and places like Colorado or California or like Oregon give them IDs, give them, medical benefits and Social Security benefits and food stamp benefits and everything else that they can give them. And they're basically, they're getting more benefits than American citizens are, even though they've never paid into the system. And It seems like many of them never are.
Or it's like
Like,
New Jersey that gives 6,000 of them voting rights.
Well, and they're able to, like, they're not technically allowed to vote in national elections, but you don't think they're voting in New York City for Zoran Mondani? You don't think they're voting in Colorado for the Socialist Democrat, whatever bitch? I forget her name.
Well, so here's a good question, and I know I'm new, but here's a good question, and this is hypothetical. Do you have a problem with if federally they can't vote for president or anything like that, but like for like local elections, would that be a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, because it means you take over places like Dearborn, Michigan, and you elect a Muslim mayor and a Muslim fucking chamber
City
of
council.
commerce and a Muslim everything, and then pretty soon the only laws that are getting passed are like pro-Muslim, and they're implementing Sharia law, and they're doing all these things when a bunch of them aren't citizens, and they're all voting, and they vote as a block.
Okay. So with that being said, and I'm just being devil's advocate here. So like the Supreme Court just upheld birthright citizenship, and that was a whole big thing, right?
Which is retarded, and they need to retry that because I don't think they made the arguments good. And I think
So
that they
what
left
would
door
the
open to
solution be
retry it.
though? So like if we're not going to
Denaturalize
have
them and send them back home.
well, no, like so me, both my parents have been here, forever, right? They're both natural U.S. citizens, and I was born here, right? So if you're just, are you saying that both parents have to be U.S. citizens, or one parent has to be a U.S. citizen from the bat? Like, what is the solution if we don't have birthright citizenship?
Well, I think what you would do is, I don't think you can retroactively go back and change what has already happened. I think that the birthright citizenship at the point that it was passed or re-looked at and then changed would have to be from that point forward, So you got all these people who are here, but then you're right. You have all of these people who vote as blocks and have Muslim ideals and stuff like that. What do you do about them? And I think that we're headed for a period of time where we're eventually going to get to a point where we're going to vote in like a very strong man who doesn't care about these fucking laws and bullshit. And he's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to do what the people mandate him to do. And that's going to be get rid of people. I don't care about the fucking law. And that's scary. That's scary that we are going to be pushed to that point, because if we don't do that, we're not going to have a country anymore. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't know. Like, I just see that as what's going to happen, dude. I mean, like, why did Germany get Hitler? Because
that was a popular opinion at that point, right? Like at that point,
Right.
It wasn't that they necessarily pushed the anti-Jewish, anti-Gypsy, propaganda at that point, but he had socialist ideals.
Well, you could argue that a big part of it was because of reparations from World War I. And Germany was forced to pay all of these countries all of this money for all of this time. And they were producing and producing and producing, but the economy was just terrible, and there was nothing anyone could do. And like, they were doing everything they could, but none of the benefits of the labor were going to the German people. And the people who were working in the factories and doing the jobs see this and see how unfair it is that, like, they produce shit and it just goes to France, And so when some guy came in and said, hey, I'm going to do something about that, they were like, fuck yeah, I'm voting for that guy. And yeah, there was some, like, the burning of the Reichstag and some propaganda and false flag type stuff that went along with it. But point being, like, without the impetus from the people having a problem with the way that things were going, they wouldn't have been pushed to that point, or they wouldn't have allowed that point to happen. If that makes sense.
The big difference now is that there's not going to be one person to be able to take care of all this shit. It's going to have to be about 150 people at once, if not more, because you'd have to have, and it might be more like 1,000 actually, because you'd have to go through entire general assemblies at the state level and completely redo them. This is why Ohio's general assembly currently needs to be abolished, because of the way that they're fucking around with everything. From the way they're backing Vivek, because they're all taking bribes to back his ass, to like all the other corruption going on in the state and other states around us.
Coming from another Ohioan, I don't understand how anybody backs him up. He's pro Ohio, but he moved his entire business to Texas. And I understand it's for income tax purposes and whatever else, but come on now.
Well, I mean, it's worse than that because he committed the exact same securities fraud crimes that put Martin Shkreli away, but he never got arrested for that stuff.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was his original. That's how he originally made his billions, is what it was, because he committed the same securities fraud crimes on the, I think it was remdesivir was the drug. And then it gets even worse than that because during lockdowns, he was actually the one that was on the board pulling the puppet strings for Acton to do her shutdown shit. And then he ended up going to, I forget which company it was. I don't think it was Pfizer, but it was one of the other drug makers. And he was specifically pushing Trump and a bunch of people in Congress at the time to pass laws that he then profited a fuck ton of money off of, genociding Ohioans with death drugs.
Well, because he ran a medical consultation firm, is that what that was? Or because he didn't run like a pharmaceutical firm, right? Like he started like a consultation firm for like the pharmaceutical.
What it was, but I know his mom was involved in it though, because she was the one that supposedly was taking some Alzheimer's drug, and that was what he made the money off of. And then bailed out before everybody realized it was bullshit.
Gotcha.
So here's the last story we're going to cover real quick. Report Congress finds that right-wing extremism is responsible for 80% of domestic terrorism deaths since 2001. First of all, why did we start in 2001? That's weird because, I don't think that how many people died on 9/11? Was it 6,000? I forget. 3,000, 6,000? If you count
More
those,
than not.
I mean, you can't count those as right-wing extremism. So that would screw up your whole statistic. But how do we get to 80% are right-wing extremists? And when you look into this, what you find is it's how they count people, right? So, for instance, if you are a member of a anarchist group, which in 2026, anarchist groups are left-leaning, if not extreme left, but they're counted in these reports as extreme right. So all of the deaths that are caused by anyone who's part of an anarchist group, they consider that to be far right doing it. Another way that they do it is they count prison violence. So if you are part of a, like the Brotherhood, you're part of like the Aryan Brotherhood in prison, which the way things work in prison, like hardcore prison anyway, it's very racialized. You have to join the group that you're racially identify with, because if you don't, then you're going to be a lone wolf and you're going to be, basically targeted by the other race groups, and that's going to suck for you. So you join up with the group, even if you wouldn't necessarily be a Nazi on the outside, but you got to do what you got to do because you're in prison. And then someone gets shanked or whatever. Well, that's right-wing extremism. But like, what about the African-American groups? Are they considered left-wing extremism? No, that's just gang violence. Or if it's Hispanic, no, that's not right-wing or left-wing. That's not anything. But if you're part of the Aryan Brotherhood in prison, all of the murders in prison done by the Aryan Brotherhood are considered to be right-wing extremism. So all of those count. Like there's some other examples too, but you see how they get to that 80%. It's disingenuous as fuck. And they know it is, but they go with these headlines because then fucking NPC idiots out there are going to read that and be like, "Oh, did you know that actually the right is more violent than the left? Did you see this report?" And unless you know what I just said, there's no way to refute it. And even if you do refute it, these fucking sycophants aren't going to believe you anyway, or go along with what you say, or even look into it. So there's no winning the argument. It's like, what was his name? Don't argue with idiots. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. This is why I don't debate fucking people on the left. Like, I will make a video about your video. I will talk about what you're saying and give my perspective on it. But I'm not going to sit there in front of you and have you interrupt me and fucking all of a sudden not know what English means and do all of the tactics that people on the left do in order to win arguments or win debates. I'm not good at that. I don't care, dude. That's not my thing. So let other people do that. I'll make videos about it. I'll talk about it. and I'll fucking destroy them in my video. And then you can make a video about my video if you want. And then, you know, you can say how I'm wrong about this or that, and that's fine. And maybe I'll make a video about your video about my video, and it'll be great.
That's why statistics in general are a crock of shit. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, if you just say, well, my criteria is this, but it's not the norm, but that's your criteria, that's your number. You can change statistics however you want to spin them. So like in this situation where they're talking about 80% of, you know, right-wing extremism is for terrorism, I'd like to know if they've kind of any of the transgender persuaded people that have shot up these schools across the country in any of this, because are they concerned it's left-wing extremism, or are they concerned it's right-wing extremism? Because the one was a Christian school that the person attended and then proceeded to shoot up later on.
Well, yeah, and that's the other way that they do it, is by like taking obvious things that are left-wing extremism and are violence from the left and are murders that are attributed to left-wing extremism, and just not counting them. And again, it was Scott Adams who was talking about basically all data is fake, because the person who puts the data together can do little things like that and make the data come up with whatever answer they want. So they go to their boss and they say like, hey, what would you like to see out of this data? And they say, hey, we want to see that there are more deaths coming from right-wing extremism than left-wing extremism. And they say, okay, boss. And they go back to their desk and they play with the paperwork. And then they come back with, actually, you're right. Did you know that 80% of right-wing extremism is the majority of the violence? And that's that. Versus if the boss said, hey, we want to show the opposite, we want to show that it's more left-wing extremism, someone else could take that same set of data, interpret it differently, come up with an entirely different set of conclusions, and present that data as fact. So all data is fake. All data is a lie, including climate data, including fucking a whole bunch of shit, dude. So just don't believe everything at face value would be my point.
It's the same thing with racial jail records. When they'll claim people are white and they're like black as night.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out of New Jersey I was looking at. Like the New Jersey inmate system. If you look up white inmates in custody or whatever, it's like half of them are fucking black.
Well, it's like even like just looking at like a local level, like the local county jail where I live, they continuously like post like the wrong picture for like the inmate that's currently on the roster. Like you can literally see it. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's not a 64-year-old white male when it's like some 22-year-old black dude. Like that's not the right guy. Like who are you putting this under? So it's they talk. People say it's, oh, they're just punching numbers quick. No. I think they're fudging numbers purposely for statistics reasons. They can't have actually who we have in the system for actual legitimate purposes.
And again, when you look at like headlines and stuff, when it's a white guy who did it, they're always like, a white man from New Jersey, 38-year-old white man, blah, 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 blah. But if it's like a black teenager, then it's just teens. Teens did this. Or if it's like, I don't know, a black woman, then it's a woman did this. Or if it's like a Nigerian.
Innocent woman gunned down.
Yeah. Or if it's like a Nigerian who's here on a work visa who like stabbed someone at a park in New Jersey, they'll say a New Jersey man. So it's quite obvious that they're attempting to hide the facts from people. More people are waking up to it.
There was one the other day too. It was I forget what state it was in, but it was a black dude that went on a shooting spree, and they literally used a stock photo of a white dude for the headline.
Of course. Because people are going to see the headline and be like, oh, that's who did the shooting. We see the picture and move on with life, because no one actually reads the article where the actual information may be hiding. Sometimes it's not. But that's where they do it. They put it in the headline because they know 80%, 90% of people aren't going to actually click on the link to the fucking article and read it.
Well, that's the problem. Is like people just they don't question the news that they're fed. Like, there used to be a point where they would tell you that you need to look into, come up with your own conclusion, right? Read this article to make your own opinion, not just take one article at face value and that's it. But the problem is that the news media and I think the Democrat Party has pushed people to believe that, oh no, if you listen to Fox News or whatever other, right-wing leaning media outlet, they're wrong. You need to believe us. And there's just stupid people who believe that, versus where if you actually pay attention and read both sides, because I'm not saying the right's right or the left's right. I don't think anybody's right. There's always somewhere in the middle. So at the end of the day, you got to come up with your own conclusions, but nobody takes the time to do that anymore.
Well, the other problem is like people like Ben Shapiro, going back to him with that whole Trump and 31 felonies thing. If you're going to bring that up as an argument, you're going to go on a podcast who has people who disagree with you politically, and you're going to make a point about that specific thing. It would stand to reason that you should probably do the research about what those people would say about it, right? So like you're going to bring up the 31 felonies, and that people on the right have a problem with that fact of 31 felonies. It would behoove you to, before you go on the podcast, do research and find out why people are saying that. And if you really believe it and you really had a good argument, you would make a counter argument to that point, and you would have that shit ready to go, so that when people were like, oh, well, did you know that there was no underlying crime? And then you could say something that refutes that. I don't know what you would say. Obviously, there's nothing to say there because there's no way to refute it, which is maybe why he doesn't have a point. But in that case, I wouldn't bring up that point in the first place. You know what I mean? So whatever, man. I'm really not a Ben Shapiro fan. People fucking hate him. That's fine too.
Are you talking about Ben Shapiro or Brian Shapiro? 'Cause
Brian
the Jeter
Shapiro.
guy was
Brian Shapiro. Brian Shapiro. Sorry, everybody. Good call. My bad. Anyway. Well, hey, we've been going an hour and 42 minutes now, which is a little bit longer than we normally go. Do you guys have anything that you want to plug before we leave? Any last minute points you want to make?
I will bring up one point that Anthony Roberts brought up in the comments section, is that they love to spit in your butthole, especially in Cook County Jail.
Yeah.
That's considerate.
Don't get your butt spit in. That's no.
I just want to thank you guys for letting me on the chat.
Yeah, dude, you're cool. You're welcome back.
Yay!
Yeah, you're totally good. Uh-oh. We were about to end, and now we can't.
Yeah, you can, because you already figured it out anyway when I was joining. You kept saying Ben Shapiro, and I was like, which Shapiro is he talking about? I don't think he means Ben. I was like, is it Josh Shapiro, the governor, or is it, it's one of the Shapiros.
Brian Shapiro. I said the wrong Shapiro.
Brian Shapiro.
All right.
Well, you figured it out.
Well, real quick also, Ichiban Gaming says, hey, Honda, new name, formerly Let On Steel. So he's been on the chat before. Going to be down and out for a while. He's having back surgery, so he's making a gaming channel. So if anyone wants to go subscribe to Ichiban Gaming and check out his gaming while he's doing his back surgery, maybe get him monetized, that'd be kind of cool. I'll go over there and check it out. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Deuces, y'all. Sean P. and Fridge Tuba Shabanaba to pressure Batakath care. Prec the troops. 2 words made in America. And we'll see you all next time. Deuces.